Good morning, my name is Cristian Solano. I am the English advisor of the Dirección Regional de Cartago. So for me it's more than a pleasure to be talking with you today about how to apply the PEI, Programación Educativa Individual, in the English class. Sometimes a topic that is problematic for some teachers because they don't know how to implement the PEI in the English planning and how to accommodate the different activities that they're going to be using with the regular students um, to the activities that they are going to be using with the students with special needs. We have to know that there are important documents that we have to know and read, and they are the names of the circulares. So these documents are over here in this slide. Okay, so you can read these documents in order to have more information about how to implement the PEI in our classes. There is something that we have to know, okay? It's that the English planning is not going to be different for those students with the special needs and regular students. We're going to have the same didactic planning. And the only thing that we're going to do is to be more specific with the indicators and the activities that we're going to be using with the students with special needs. And we're going to use a distinct color mode. As you can see, in the context of the curricular transformation, now the individual educational programming is developed in the same didactic planning of the group using the official planning template. The specific indicators to the student as well as activities that are specific to him or her are established in a distinct color code, sorry. Well, it is important to emphasize that this process starts with a diagnosis of the student's skills, knowledge, interests, capacities, and linguistic abilities, both those that present challenges and those that facilitate learning. Well, we can't start any process of learning or teaching without having a diagnosis or a diagnostic of what the student is able to do and what the student isn't able to do. Also, we have to include the interests, the capacities, the linguistic abilities of those students. So we can do it by using different tools like observation, like a test, like an interview, or any other instrument that you consider will be suitable for the student. Well, this is the important part of this workshop. How to implement the PEI where the student deviation from the group is not very significant. When we're talking about not very significant, okay, we're talking about 1 or 2 years compared with to the group, where we determine that the student has prior knowledge of the language but not sufficient to assimilate the purpose learning for the group. Okay, in this case, we work with the expected learning or the assessment strategies and indicators of the group. Okay, we have a learning or a proposed learning for all the groups, but the one that we're going to use for that student with special need will be a little bit different. But not, when we talk about different, we are not talking about a big gap between the students with the regular students and the students with special needs. Okay, we're going to talk about this in a couple of minutes. Okay, how do we do it? Okay, we add and adapt an indicator of learning to the student's particular performance level. This indicator is in a different color. As I told you, we are going to be talking about colors during this presentation, and is recorded in the Assess Administration column of the planning template below the corresponding expected group learning. In other words, we work with the group's topics and indicators, but we modify one indicator to the student's level. The teacher may decide not to develop certain group expected learning with the student. Okay, sometimes there are some topics or some expected learnings that we don't have to use with the student with a special need. Well, we're going to see an example of how can we include those indicators and those activities in our planning. Well, this is an example of third grade planning, as I was mentioned before. completed in the official template. In this unit, the goal is for the students to identify community servers and their workplaces. We have the header as well as the pre-teaching section, as you can see, okay? And as the pre-teaching section, where the topic is introduced, previous essential learnings are reviewed and new structures are introduced. Okay, in this case, we have the same cycle that we use for all plannings when we have the pre-teaching, we have a warm-up, we have the activation of prior knowledge, we have the task that, oh, the cycle that we use in every single lesson, that is pre-task, task rehearsal, task completion, and task assessment. Important to know, okay, well, let's take a look to this. Okay, as you can see in the header of the planning, we include the information that we got with the diagnostic stage. Okay, in this case, we're talking about Isabella. Well, Isabella, as you can see, it's in a different color, okay, and it's below the essential question. So let's try to use the same structure for all our plannings. So in that way, we are going to have a clear idea of what we are doing with those students with special needs. Well, Isabella isn't able to read. Remember that this is a third grade planning. Okay, Isabella isn't able to read or write sentences, but she produces simple sentences such as, this is a pencil, he's my dad, my name is Isa. She can count from 1 to 10. She recognizes colors, red, blue, purple, pink, yellow, green, and she follows simple commands such as sit down, stand up, color, listen. She loves coloring pages, and she likes all kind of music. It's important to include also the interest of the student in this part of the planning. Okay, now let's take a look to the PEI, Programación Educativa Individual, in our daily planning. Okay, so as you can see, and as I mentioned before, we need to have certain information about Isabella that we got from the diagnostic test. Well, we already read about what Isabella is able to do and what she isn't able to do, besides the interest and the capacities of the student. Well, as I mentioned before, we are going to indicate with a different color the indicator that we're going to be using with Isabella. Okay, as you can see, we have an indicator for the rest of the students that is recognizes simple information about a place. But for Isabella, we have the indicator of learning, which is a little bit different, recognizes names of community helpers by matching them with pictures. It is important to know that every indicator must have an action. In this case, it recognizes, okay, is what the student is going to do. A content, okay, which is the names of community helpers, and then a condition where or how is going to be the activity held by the student. Okay, in this case, the activity will be held by matching them with pictures. Here we have some of the activities that they are going to be done by Isabella. The student asked only to identify community helpers in this game. The other students are going to recognize or identify community helpers and workplaces. As we can see in the next one, the student only identifies the community helpers in this worksheet, not the workplace. Well, as you can see in this activity, we have a different indicator of learning for Isabella. Okay, and in this case, the indicator of learning is identifies community helpers, words such as police officer, doctor, firefighter, nurse, etc. Okay, in a reading test about the community helpers and community services by understanding the words. Okay, but as you can see, the sentence frame that Isabella is going to use, okay, it's going to be different to the ones that they are going to use, that the regular students are going to use. Okay, learners complete the following sentence frames. A doctor works in a hospital. Okay? But Isabella is going to complete a different one. The student completes the following sentence frame, as you can see, in a different color. This is a doctor. Just that. Okay, she's not going to do any other activity. The same is going to happen with the rest of the games. Okay, as you can see, the students only reviews the sentences frame. This is a baker. This is just for Isabella. The student will use this sentence frame. This is a doctor, and chose the picture. Isabella's activity. Okay, the student will use this sentence frame. This is a doctor, and chose the picture. And the activities are going to be the same activities that we are using with the group. So Isabella is going to be part of the activities that we are using with the rest of the group, but she's going to use different sentence frames, probably different, not materials, but different vocabulary. And this is important because we need to use, or in this case, especially for this planning, okay, we are using the same materials that we are using with the rest of the group with Isabella. Okay, now we are going to talk about the integrated mini project. Well, in the integrated mini project, it is important to provide students with almost three different options for the integrated mini project. I don't know, maybe one student is going to make a mini book, another student is going to make puppets, another student is going to create a board game, and another student is going to create a bingo about community helpers and workplaces. So we have to make a little difference with the regular students and Isabella. For example, in this case, Isabella is going to create a mini book. She's going to create puppets or any other option that you provide as teacher. Okay, but she's going to use only community helpers names and community helper words. That is very important. Providing different options to the students give us the opportunity to apply universal design for learning. And that's something that we need to do and we need to integrate, especially in the mini projects. Even though I know that probably you say we use universal design for learning in all our classes because we use different techniques, we use videos, TPR, we use tests, we use a lot of art, we use a lot of dynamics and different things in order that the students can learn and acquire the indicators of learning that we pretend to be acquired during the class. And that is something that we're going to be talking in another workshop, how to implement the DUA and the STEAM in our English classes. Especially, I have a little plan about how to include it in the integrated mini projects, but that's something that we're going to be talking later. Guys, thank you for being here today. Um, I know that probably there are so many other things that you want to know about pay, but in case you have any question, any comment, you can send it to my email. I will be pleased to answer your questions or to hear your opinions about this topic. In case I don't know the answer, I promise I will look for it. And sometimes you don't have to know everything, but you have to have the sources to find the answer. Remember that you count on me for any situation. You can send a message or you can come to the office. Remember that the office days are Mondays from 7 to 3. Okay, and God bless you all. Thank you for being here. I hope all this information will be useful for your classes. And remember, let's make Cartago a bilingual zone. See you in the next workshop. Take care. God bless you all.